Hello everyone, my name is Vince Batnazzi. I'm a contributor to Fire Rescue 1, and I'm going to do a series of knots videos for you, kind of showcasing 7 of the most common knots that we use in the fire service. What I'll be using is 2 different color 1/2-inch static hermantle rope, which is what we use in a lot of life safety and rescue situations. And the contrast is on purpose so you can see the ropes as I tie them, but also we're going to talk about these stitching, which are called tracers. The reason for the tracers is to help whoever's minding the rope system, say the yellow line is going to be your haul line, your blue line is your belay or safety, that the ropes are moving through the system at the same speed. If the ropes were solid color, it'd be very hard to indicate what the rope speed is, but it's very important for us as minding the system that we want these to match identical, because if one is moving a little bit quicker than the other, it can indicate that there could be an issue with the system. And we'll now move into knots. First knot we're going to cover is the overhand knot, super basic knot. Basically, we're just going to make a loop in the rope, and we're going to work one end of the rope through the loop and create the overhand knot. The overhand knot can be used as a safety, which I'll show here. I have a figure 8 on a bight, and a lot of people may try to safe this rope by using an overhand knot. So what they'll do is you'll actually, same thing, make your loop, bring the same end of rope over, and you're gonna basically tie an overhand knot on top of the other rope. And what this will do is actually provide a little bit of a safety in your rope system. So this is an overhand knot, as use it as a safety, and this is an overhand knot right here. All right, second knot we're gonna cover is gonna be the figure 8 on the bight. And first I'm gonna do is just gonna do a normal figure 8 in the blue rope. So very similar to overhand knot, we're gonna create a loop. We're gonna bring the working end of this knot around the rope and back through that loop I created. And all it's gonna do is it's gonna tie basically the 8 in the rope. To tie a figure 8 on a bight, I'll showcase on the yellow, we're gonna create the bight of rope, and very similar to what I just showed is we're gonna work this loop around the rope, back through the top loop, and we're gonna create the same 8 that we just had in the blue rope here. All right, this will be your bight of rope. And just a kind of little pro tip, something I've always been taught, is that you only wanna create the bight large enough to create whatever linking hardware you need, so a carabiner, whatever you're gonna clip into. And right here will be your figure 8 on a bight. Our next knot we're going to cover is the bowline. So we're going to work our loop. We're going to take our working end and we're going to come up through the loop. We're going to come around the rope, and we're going to take our working end and back through the loop on the inside. And as we cinch down, this will be our bowline. A lot of mistakes that people will make is they'll come around the opposite side and tie this working end of this rope on the opposite side of this loop, and that's actually incorrect. So this will be a completed bowline. All right, we're gonna do a Becket Bend, and the Becket Bend or sheet bend is actually used to link or attach 2 different ropes together with different diameter. I actually tie this starting off in a square knot and then working it into a Becket Bend, and that's kind of how things kind of work out sometimes. You learn a way and you just kind of keep the way or system you use. So if it looks confusing, I apologize. So here's obviously my 2 different pieces of rope that I'd want to link using the Becket Bend. So tying the square knot, you come up and over, and then you would come back up and over again so that they're in opposite ways. And then here is my square. So that's my square knot. A square knot's used to link basically 2 of the identical ropes. So in this case, both 1/2-inch hermantle rope would be linked in this. But if say the yellow rope was actually a smaller diameter rope, we'd want to use the Becket Bend. So we would then work out one end of this, and we would then bring it back under the yellow rope itself. And as we pull together, it will cinch down and link that yellow piece. And that is now the Becket Bend. So we're going to work into our hitches. our clove hitch and our 1/2 inch, and obviously you need an object to tie something around. If any of you have small children, this is a Fisher Price umbrella set that goes in a picnic table. So I'm now using it as my thing, and I'm gonna tie these hitches around. So we're gonna start with the clove hitch. Clove hitch can be used a lot to tie off onto a rung of a ladder, your halyard or anything. So we're gonna go and take our piece of rope, and we're gonna go once around the object. And then as we work our way through, we're gonna kind of X across, and we're gonna come over it. And we want to basically take our piece of rope and go between the X that we created. So I'll work that piece of end of rope through the X. We're then gonna cinch down and tension this. And that X right there, the cross, is your clove hitch. So this will be your clove hitch on an object. So we're gonna add some 1/2 hitches. So we just tied the clove hitch onto the bottom of this Fisher Price umbrella stake. And what we're gonna do is the 1/2 hitch. So a lot for hoisting or securing equipment. All we're gonna do is we're gonna work this in the direction that we want. So if this was to be the hoist side, we would have our clove hitch here, and we're gonna hoist in this direction, or we're gonna pull the rope in this direction. Where they're gonna just kind of create a little overhand loop, all right? And all it's gonna do is just gonna cross over on itself, and then we're gonna basically pull the tension from the bottom, and that would be a 1/2 hitch. So it's basically almost similar to the clove hitch, except it's just one part of it. And we want, like we said, it's really dependent on the direction that this rope will pull. So here's a clove hitch, and we just did a 1/2 hitch, where the bottom is gonna then pull back up towards the running end of the rope. Hey everyone, we're gonna finish off just covering the water knot, which is now into our tubular webbing. So the water knot's really is to make a big loop out of webbing. So we're gonna start with one end of our webbing here, and we're just gonna basically do what we kind of did with the overhand knot. So we're gonna kind of come up over itself. And what we need to work out is that the tubular webbing is flat. So when we kind of create this little knot, we want to stay flat on itself, and we want to have about at least a 2-inch tail, okay? And we're gonna sort through this mess of a webbing here, and we're gonna find the other side of this webbing, and we're gonna basically trace this overhand knot and create the water knot. So create a little bit of some space there by loosening this knot on itself. We'll then kind of follow this other end of this webbing through the opening. It'll come across that portion of the knot. It'll then come up and over, and it will then create the same tail just on the opposite side. So as I push this remaining end of the webbing through, you'll have 2 tails and what looks like one overhand knot. All right, and we'll then cinch this down and tighten on itself. And right here is your water knot. So basically it's a end of the tubular webbing, overhand knotted, make it, flatten it out, find the other half or the other piece or end of your tubular webbing, and then trace it back on itself and cinch down, and here is your water knot for tubular webbing.